gentlemen, it's time to discuss Hawken. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the Vanguard. A great heavy mech. It has the least health of any heavy mech and the highest speed of any heavy mech. Keep in mind though that it's still not as fast as any of the medium mechs, and it's still not going to even try to compete in the speeds of a light mech. Not even close. But this mech is not a bad mech by any stretch of the imagination. And just because it has the lowest armor of any heavy mech does not mean it is squishy in any regard. This mech is meant as a good all-rounder heavy mech. This mech is great at suppression fire with its SMC and Vulcan, and it is actually not a bad dueler with its mini flak. I like to use this mech in an unconventional way, however. I favor using this mech in turret mode, and there are a couple of reasons why. For one thing, it's... let me find it... there it is. Its Vanguard turret ability reduces frontal damage by 55%. This means that you have 1,550 health. This is more health by far than any other mech in the game. However, you still have technically 1,000 health in terms of your damage and percentage values. This means that, for one thing, you're getting a lot more out of your tuning when you put 10 points into armor. Instead, you're getting 16 points. You're getting a lot more out of your items if you take a repair charge, Mark III. I just take the shield Mark I because it also increases survivability. I prefer going with survivability on my items. With internals, you're getting more out of your advanced armor fuser, your basic extractor, and your repair kit if you play Vanguard turret mode effectively. Now, I'm going to say this right off the bat. This is the best turret mode in the game. And that's like saying you're the fastest man in paternity. It's not a good statement if you look at the meta. The meta in Hawken depends on mobility, and turret mode is like shooting yourself in the foot with a 12 gauge shotgun. However, in my opinion, with Vanguard it can work. And I'm here to show you why. We're going to see a team deathmatch, and I'm going to see you on the battlefield, and we'll talk about it. And here we are on the map of Origin. Origin can be a very great map for turret mode, but can also be a very detrimental map to turret mode as well. This just depends on the situation and whether or not any enemies are smart enough to go vertically to try and flank you. Because if you're caught behind, you're an immobile light mech in turret mode, of course. Now I get a little bit greedy here. I decide to jump up to this top area and I'm surrounded completely. This is the worst case scenario for turret mode. I am completely just out of position, out of place, and I am going to get wrecked here. This is what you want to avoid at all costs with turret mode. I get too greedy, I push up too far. If you look at the radar, I'm completely surrounded and I'm on an elevated position where everyone can see me. You have to be a little bit more careful in turret mode. You can't just do things like that. And I get punished heavily for it. Now here you're going to see me glide in turret mode, and you'll see what I mean. I press shift and look where I want to go, and then I glide to this position. That's one of the interesting things about turret mode, is that you can actually glide off the hover pads. That's fairly important. for a map like Origin, which is so vertical because of the jump pads. You can get some interesting positions. I missed that there. I shouldn't have even tried to make that leap. Now I'm going to use turret mode to jump up on the top level of Origin. Now how you do this is you look up and you press shift before you hit the jump pad, and you can get into positions that you otherwise wouldn't be able to get to in turret mode. And I just barely don't get the kill on that bruiser. So that can be incredibly helpful. Now I see this Reaper, and I'm very interested in getting the kill, because that would activate my advanced armor fuse here. This is once again me getting greedy in turret mode and making a mistake that I shouldn't have made. I just backed off from that area, and I decide to glide into that area again, right into the middle, and then the entire team staring me down just rips me apart. You can take tons of damage as turret mode, but you have to have your team behind you. You can't be a solo man like I was trying to be. You can't fight like you're standing on your own 2 feet like you usually do. Because you have to commit in turret mode. If you commit to an engagement, you're fully committed. You can't just run away. Now here once again, I'm going to the worst area you can in turret mode, an area where I can be easily surrounded due to the fact that this is Origin and people can drop down from above. And I'm in this worst position that I could possibly be. So now this Berserker comes around me, and I'm forced to turn my back to these enemy mechs, and that's where I'm going to die. Because I was forced to turn my back due to that light mech. You're going to die a lot like that in turret mode. But honestly, I shouldn't have been in that position anyway. I should have avoided that area of the map. Now you have to play by the radar, and that means 2 things. You're not only looking for where the enemies are, you should be looking more for where your allies are, because that's important as well. Now I see this guy. And there's a swarm of mechs when I drop down. I'm in trouble here, and I know it. So I back off, and these guys swarm me. A lot of people are just going to swarm you, and it's very hard to deal with in turret mode. It's very hard to deal with in any situation. That was just bad luck that they were all there. Now I don't chase that guy. I know their team's down there, and you notice I don't chase. I come up here, and there he is. There's Blendtech Blender, and I'm very fortunate to get the assist. Remember, you can't chase often with turret mode. I'm always looking at my radar. I knew that that person would come at me due to the radar. Now here's an example where turret mode is beneficial. As you can see, I'm going to push up, and I'm going to tank the damage and try to get my teammates to push up here. Now, I'm worried about getting flanked by that Reaper that I just saw, so I'm going to put my back to the wall, and then I'm going to face him immediately after I kill the sharpshooter. And this is an advantage of turret mode. I tanked quite a bit of damage there for my teammates. And you're also encouraging them to push up. When teammates aren't taking the damage and you are, they get a little bolder. They're not as passive, which is a great thing in a lot of situations. It can get a lot of people killed if you're not smart in turret mode, but it can also net your team a lot of kills, and that's the advantage. Now I'm gonna be the catalyst for a push. And again, as you saw, I'm getting EMP'd. I'm getting EMP'd because turret mode's an easy target for EMPs. You're gonna deal with that a ton in turret mode. There's just no way to avoid it. People love EMPing turret modes. It's just so easy. It's an easy target. This guy's gonna try to flank me, but he's gonna, again, when people try to flank turret modes, and they'll jump into your team, literally jump into the worst place possible because they are trying to flank a turret mode. And this is again an advantage of turret mode. Now this technician bruiser team is gonna off me. There's just not much I can do. My teammates aren't behind me because I chased the other person, and I'm just offed. Don't be afraid to shoot people at range. The Vulcan is a very good weapon. Now here, I don't make the glide, and as you can see, I'm going to be on the lower level, but that's actually better in this situation, considering the fact that I would have been higher up. However, I'm going to be offed by a raider that snuck up behind me. When someone gets behind you in turret mode, you only have 500 health in a Vanguard turret mode. And it's incredibly easy for someone to kill you. Incredibly easy. So you have to be very careful in turret mode. And I wasn't as careful as I should have been when I made that leap. And remember not to chase single targets. I was tempted to chase that bruiser, but you can't do that in turret mode. And I'm going to make the same mistake and go to that area of the map again. And it's going to make me, again, very, very dead very, very quickly. Because I was a moron to go into this area again. You can never, ever go into that area of the map on Origin as a heavy mech in turret mode. Just can't do it. Can't do it. Now here's an example of where you can be very confident. In a hallway like this, with teammates behind me, I'm pretty much going to kill anything in my path, including this bruiser who was going to decide to sit there for some reason. And I glide to the second level once again, and I'm in a perfect position. Now here, I'm just going to tank on the top of the AA in the middle of Origin, and it's going to be beautiful. I set up a shield to protect me, and I'm gonna just go ahead. Now here I see someone's on my level, and I'm worried about that. You have to be worried about anyone who can flank you, and this guy was a threat. So immediately I focus him. He EMPs both of us, and I'm gonna take him out, get him off of the AA, and it's king of the hill, really. And this is a perfect example of just taking the enemy's attention and making them focus you down and getting some kills in the process. I'm going to do very nicely at really damaging the enemy, helping out the teammates that are below me doing the fighting. Now I'm going to go below as well because I'm starting to get a little nervous about staying on top. It's a little too visual. Now, as soon as I see a bruiser with its ability on and a technician green beaning it, I back off. However, it's too late. It's into the game. And we have a victory with 34 points to 30. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. A game in Vanguard Turret mode. Now this is a decidedly average game. I got 7 kills, 12 assists, and 7 deaths. So it's not the best game ever. However, I think it's a good showcase of what turret mode can do. I was also just learning how to play Vanguard in turret mode, so consider this an introduction video. Good night.